Welcome everybody to Games Cast by PanderNyrl. If you wish to see more commented games, please follow my YouTube and Twitch pages below.
On the blue team, we do see a Nidalee up top or in the mid. Elise NA taking up the other position. Ezreal and support Elise down bottom. Xin Zhao in the jungle. For the red team, we have a Caitlyn Nunu down bottom. Annie in the mid. Yorick up top and a Maokai in the jungle. I'm not sure how Elise is going to do down bottom, as she's a very non-traditional support. She does have a few good things going for her, as she does have a stun on a fairly short cooldown, and she does have her spider form, which provides her a lot of free stats, in addition to the spiderlings just being really annoying for blocking any kind of skill shot abilities, though the red team does not have many of their skill shots. Game is started up here. No shenanigans at level 1. Not even really stopping Maokai, but Maokai opting not to start with saplings, interestingly enough. As most Maokais do go for saplings. Though the problem with saplings is people always like to run around and burst them. Looks like Annie will doing a good bit of damage, and starting with her stun in the mid. Elise NA has decided to go mid lane against this Annie. The wise move by Caitlyn to throw those traps down means Elise NA is in a good bit of trouble starting off, though he has opted for the double rejuvenation beads, meaning he is going for a Tiamat into likely a Ravenous Hydra. Nidalee up top is getting zoned out by Yorick, and it's really just trying to keep Nidalee from actually getting to the minions. Looks like down bottom, Elise has taken a fair bit of damage, though she should be okay. But I'm not sure she's going to be okay if she keeps taking damage like that. Looks like Maokai is sitting at his red buff, waiting for Xin Zhao, and not even starting on it, as he does throw a sapling there. And he will not even go try and help him at this point. And Maokai is not even going to go try and get his red buff. He's just going to sit there and fight Xin Zhao, and he's losing pretty hard. Though Yorick has come in, Yorick is only level 1. Annie has also come in, but Annie is going to fight Elise NA here. And Elise NA is likely going to win this exchange, but Yorick is here, and Yorick's doing a good bit of damage to that ghoul. And Annie with a nice use of her abilities to pick up first blood. Though it looks like Yorick did get the kill on Xin Zhao, making that a very bad trade for the blue teams. They just got a little greedy. Nothing more than that. But you can't really be greedy when you're fighting in the enemy jungle. Elise did pop up her spider form and try and repel away, but it's mostly used just to dodge abilities. And that neurotoxin is going to do a good bit of damage to Caitlyn, as it is a really great harassment ability. And the big thing here is Annie picked up a kill. Same thing with Yorick. They're going to be very strong once they actually go back. They both have started with the Crystalline Flask and Potions. I really like the Crystalline Flask start for bottom and mid lanes. It is probably the safest way to start the game. And it's also one of those ways where you have a lot of options to go, as it doesn't cost a whole lot. You can either pick up a bunch of potions, go with a Fairy Charm for a lot of mana. You can go with the Rejuvenation Bead if you need a little bit of extra health regen. Xin Zhao's going to come down bottom, but I don't think he's going to be able to get into a gank, as Elise is a little too low and is spotted out thanks to the Caitlyn trap. So Caitlyn does flash away at the last moment, but Caitlyn will go down, as Caitlyn did not have her net to knock people away. Looks like Nunu's going to come here, but Nunu will he join the bush? Yes, he does, but Xin Zhao does get the knock up. But he is exhausted, and a nice stun by Elise. And a kill by Ezreal, evening out the score at 2-2. But the red team still does have a nice 400 gold lead. This Yorick has acquired a blue buff. That is not good for your lane if you're Nidalee. He did pick that up from his first or second blood. I do not remember who got it, as they got it at basically the exact same time. Looks like Annie's doing a good bit of damage to this Elise NA. And Annie can just harass Elise NA from a real long way. She has the longest range of any mage in the game in terms of auto attacks. Looks like Yorick's just going to farm up here nicely. And Nidalee forced to burn spears. Nidalee is going for an AD build, as she has 0 ability power starting off. Looks like we have Caitlyn picking up the Vampiric Scepter. Elise going with Philosopher's Stone. Ezreal going with a BF sword and longsword. Interesting choice not to go for that early Vampiric Scepter. Looks like Yorick's going to apply a bunch of damage to Nidalee, and Nidalee is not in very good health. Xin Zhao is going to come up top, but I don't think that's a very wise decision. Maokai is also going up here, ready to dive. As Yorick does throw out some ghouls and forces Nidalee's flash. Looks like Xin Zhao is going to run in here, and he is going to get very low, but Yorick wisely jumps away at the last second. And that means Maokai picks up another kill. Looks like Nidalee's trying to get in here, but no, the slow ghouls from Yorick are just a little too much. Nidalee might get his kill on Yorick, but Maokai picks up a counter kill. And that's not a good trade, as there was an assist on the red team and not one on the blue team. Nidalee down bottom is going to be applying a good bit of pressure to his Ezreal. Same thing with his Nunu, as Nunu just does a ton of damage at this point. And the slow is the big thing, as it allows Caitlyn to really just sit on him. Looks like Annie is the high farmer of the game, sitting at 43. Has picked up the Sorcerer's Shoes first. Yorick picking up the Tear of the Goddess. At least trying to get some good harassment onto Caitlyn. Caitlyn just doesn't have the damage to really lifesteal up at the moment. Looks like Annie's going to apply some good damage to Elise NA, taking him down about a quarter of his life. Right now, Nunu is going to come down here and get stunned up by Elise, taking a good bit of damage from the spiders as well. And at this point, Elise NA is in a world of trouble, as Annie's just going to keep healing back up. Maokai's picked up mobility boots and the Spirit Stone. We do have Yorick up top with the Ninja Tabi. Annie does throw down Tibbers, but Tibbers will not do a whole lot, except help her push this mid lane should she want to. Xin Zhao is spotted out down bottom thanks to his pink ward, but nothing much is going to come of it, as they wisely just continue to back away. And it looks like Xin Zhao might be still trying to come in here, but I don't think it's going to matter. As Caitlyn and Nunu aren't going to leave this lane. And Caitlyn just plays a trap in that bush if she wants to scare Xin Zhao away. Though I don't think she cares, as the wave is way too pushed for a dive at this point. And Maokai is back here in the back lines, really ready to do something. Caitlyn really making herself obvious bait here. And are they going to take the bait's the question. No, they're not, as Xin Zhao does show himself. That Caitlyn really wanted to be bait, but she just couldn't. At this point, Annie's going to go for a Haunting Guise pretty soon, as she has picked up the Ruby Crystal and Amplifying Tome. Elise NA has gone for an early Null Magic Mantle, a very nice choice when dealing with Nidalee, or no, with Annie, excuse me. Nidalee has picked up a Longsword in addition to the Chalice. It'll really help her stay alive versus Yorick. But Yorick is going to be infinitely stronger thanks to that very good early game. Nice ultimate by Caitlyn means that Caitlyn is going to be okay, but here comes Maokai, and he does pick off this kill onto Ezreal, making him 3-0-2, but though Nunu does die to a tower. Silly little Nunu. But it's okay, as his respawn time is pretty short, and I don't think Caitlyn really needs him down here at this point. Caitlyn is going to be jumped by Elise, but Elise will be okay, though Caitlyn does pop the cleanse. Looks like the red team is pinging Dragon with Ezreal down and having just respawned. It might be a decent trade, especially because they see Xin Zhao up top. I'm not sure if they actually see him, but they gotta have a feeling he's up there, as he was just bottom for a gank. Elise NA has picked up an early Hex Drinker, and nice move by Yorick, throwing that ghoul in the top bush, making sure Xin Zhao is up top. Ezreal has finished off a Bloodthirster even before his boots. Xin Zhao going for a Wriggle's Lantern. Elise picking up the Phosphorus Stone, Crystalline Flask, and a bunch of wards. Maokai with the Cloth Armor. Nunu with the Philosopher's Stone and a bunch of wards as well. Yorick with the Tear and Ninja Tabi means Nidalee's not going to be a real problem to him. Elise doing good bit of damage to his Caitlyn. And Caitlyn might go down if Ezreal lands his abilities, but he does not. And this Elise support is actually doing a pretty good job, as she is keeping Caitlyn away from the minions, especially if Nunu's not here. Yorick doing a good bit of damage to his Nidalee, and Nidalee's going to be forced back pretty soon as Maokai does come in there, and this is a dead Nidalee. And the question is, will the red team actually push the tower at this point? I think they should. Push the tower, allow Yorick to roam. Yorick is a great roamer, as he's really just a nuisance in all these fights. He blocks all the skill shots of people like Lee Sin, Ezreal, even Nidalee. Looks like Annie's going to try and come down bottom, but the blue team does ping her out. And she will just go back to mid lane. Yorick's going to be pushing this top lane pretty hard. So they aren't really worried about picking the towers for the red team, as they are winning most of their lanes pretty convincingly with the exception of this bottom lane. And the big thing here is Annie has forced Lee Sin to go Hex Drinker instead of picking up the early, likely Tiamat into Ravenous Hydra, but I'm not sure. Maokai is coming in for a gank. Will he actually land something? Yes, he does land on Ezreal. But it looks like Xin Zhao is going to jump in on Caitlyn. Caitlyn will flash away but take the ultimate. And Maokai will get shut down by Elise. There's just a little too much damage there, and Xin Zhao is not in range of Nunu. But Nunu will actually... But here comes Annie. Annie drops the Tibbers, and there's the stun. And she will have another stun in a moment. Will she actually land it? Yes, she will. Picking up a triple kill by Annie. Though Lee Sin will pick up a kill himself. So will he die to this tower? It does not look like it. And there's a nice roam by Annie. Yorick has picked up his Mana Mune going into Mana Miura. He is charging it up really fast, and Nidalee just doesn't have much of a chance. She can't throw spears at him. Nidalee going for the Wriggles Lantern build. I'm not sure it's such a wise idea, as Yorick's damage is just going to push her out of lane. The score is 7-6 at the 12:25 mark. We have a 1,000 gold lead for the red team, and no towers have been taken. So far, it's just been a case of kills being traded around and a bad start by the red team. Really, losing those two people early game has set them so far back. It means Nidalee doesn't get the good start top she usually has, and is forced into this really kind of poor Wriggles Lantern build. Elise and Ezreal have done a great job down bottom, keeping Caitlyn out of these fights, and giving Elise enough money that she's going to build a bit of ability power. Yorick throwing some good damage down onto Nidalee, but is forced to back up because the tower does a little too much damage for his liking. Looks like Yorick's going to go at Nidalee again, but he still goes low thanks to that tower, and Nidalee will sustain herself a little better than Yorick when not fighting. Caitlyn taking a good bit of damage down bottom, as Nunu really needs to hurry up down bottom if Caitlyn won't stand a chance, and the stun just missing Caitlyn. Looks like we do have Lee Sin going for the Tiamat, but he is not anywhere close to it at this point. Ultimate from Caitlyn does come out and chunks down Elise a little bit. Looks like here comes Maokai, and who will Maokai decide to advance? He will twist advance that Elise. And Elise will go down thanks to Caitlyn, but here comes Lee Sin. Lee Sin does pick up the kill onto Maokai, and it is a 1-for-1, as now a 2-for-1 as Ezreal picks another kill. But here comes Annie, and Annie will drop the Tibbers onto Ezreal, and there's Tibbers doing a bunch of damage. Because Tibbers is the highest damaging skill in the game, by far, bar none. There's not even a contest for it, as the aura is just so incredibly powerful on Tibbers. It is pretty ridiculous. Let's see, even at level 1, 35 damage a second for 45 seconds. Looks like Nunu might get caught out by Lee Sin, and Lee Sin picks up the kill. The gold lead has increased slightly, though, thanks to Yorick's just farming up top like a real beast. Nidalee has picked up the Wriggles Lantern, and he's going to go in on this Nidalee, and he's likely going to pick up this tower at any moment now. And he has gone for the Hunting Guys and now the needlessly large rod. On to Caitlyn, we do see a Vampiric Scepter and double Dorans just trying to stay alive in this lane. Maokai has gone for his boots mobility and the tanky Spirit Stone, in addition to an Aegis of the Legion and Kindle Gem. Almost completed. Looks like we do have Nidalee with the Wriggles Lantern and Chalice. Tiamat almost up on Lee Sin, though now it has just been completed in addition to that Hex Drinker. Wriggles Lantern up on Xin Zhao. We do have Ezreal going for the Sheen after completing the Bloodthirster. And looks like Elise is going for a Kindle Gem in addition to the Philosopher's Stone and Kage's Lucky Pick. And the game is pretty even at this point, though Yorick is doing a real bang-up job up top, keeping Nidalee from doing a whole lot. and even forcing Nidalee to burn Flash, despite the fact she does have a blue buff. And Yorick's just going to die for her at this point, and he's not going to get the kill though, as Nidalee does flash out. But this does mean the first tower of the game will go to the red team up top. Maokai has been caught by Xin Zhao, but Maokai should have enough just to kind of run away, and he was in the area as well. And right now, if I were the red team, I'd grab a bunch of armor. They have nothing but physical damage, with the exception of Elise and a little bit from Nidalee. Grab that armor, and that's exactly what Yorick's doing. Yorick has completed a chain vest in addition to the ninja tabby. Looks like Xin Zhao might be caught out here, as Annie does do a good bit of damage and lands the stun for a kill. And he just does a ridiculous amount of damage. And especially its reliable damage. It's really hard to miss with Annie's abilities, with the exception of a Tibbers, as people do like to jump away from that. Yorick doing a fair bit of damage to Lee Sin there, but Lee Sin is just fine, as Caitlyn dodges the stun by Elise, and the spider as well, as Nunu just tanks that up. Exhaust up on Elise. Here comes Maokai, and Ezreal will get taken down by Caitlyn, or Maokai in the end. But here comes Annie as well down bottom. Will Annie actually go for a kill? No, she decides to back up and say, let's go take Dragon. Yorick's going to push on top on Nidalee, and Yorick still hasn't taken down this tower, which is kind of surprising. Looks like Lee Sin's going to heavily press the mid tower during all this, but Yorick really needs to push this top tower down. If he takes that tower down, his team will get a big gold boost. The Dragon was taken down by the red team. No contest on it. No contest was needed. Lee Sin might try and jump here on Annie, but no, he does see Maokai thanks to a nice bush ward. Xin Zhao is down bottom and will be spotted out by Nunu, but he's not going to do a whole lot, as he's just going to farm at the tower while Ezreal and Elise run back. Nidalee up top, going to try and apply some pressure to Yorick, but Yorick is going to return a lot of that damage thanks to having all of his ghouls up and just wave clearing like a real monster. Lee Sin doing a ton of damage to Annie, and Annie will get him pretty low, and it looks like Annie will be going down to that ignite. Though actually she does actually live for it. How much health does she have left? 23 after all is said and done. Pretty lucky Annie. Yorick up top still dueling with Nidalee, and Nidalee not in very good shape at this point. Though Lee Sin might be able to take down this tower thanks to Annie having to go back. Maokai is going to come here and do a good bit of damage to Lee Sin if he can, and likely save this tower, but no, the minions will get it at the last moment, meaning the first tower of the game is taken by the blue team. Despite the red, it looks like Caitlyn's going to take a ton of damage here as Nunu does pop his ultimate, and that ultimate does land on Ezreal. He does shift away right at the last second. Looks like Yorick is up top fighting Nidalee, and Nunu does get away just by the hair on his chin. Top tower is taken down, but here comes Maokai into Nidalee. And it means Yorick will escape thanks to the ignite at the last second, but the spear will not be enough damage. Yorick lives with a total of 30 health. Caitlyn down bottom getting jumped in on by Xin Zhao, but Xin Zhao does get Caitlyn, and Nunu does not have the health to continue to fight here. But Nunu will wisely just consume some of those spiders and back away. Lee Sin jumping in the middle on Annie. And Annie just doesn't have the damage to really compete with Lee Sin at the moment. Though she did wisely grab some armor, like I was saying. Grab some armor on the red team, you'll be okay. Looks like Maokai is going to jump in here on Lee Sin, but Lee Sin does get the kick away. And Annie might throw Tibbers down, and Tibbers does pick up a kill. And Tibbers is going to do some great damage to this Lee Sin as Maokai lands another twisted advance and double kill for Annie. Annie is a real terror in this game, sitting at 8-1-1 with a Zhonya's Hourglass and Haunting Guys. She will be taking down this tower thanks to her big friend Tibbers. Annie even going to throw some harass on Ezreal, taking down a little more than a quarter of his health with that one fireball. Looks like Maokai has completed his Age to the Legion and a Shirley's Reverie. Shirley's Reverie also up on Nunu in addition to Kage's lucky pick. Caitlyn going for the Infinity Edge and is getting pretty close. Yorick is going for the, looks like the Frozen Heart. Yorick might be caught up by Nidalee, but Nidalee wisely backs away as Annie was in the area and they're looking for a blue steal. But Xin Zhao and Elise NA are coming up here. And Yorick is going to throw out some good damage. But I'm not sure how well Yorick is going to be able to fight both Elise NA and Nidalee. Though Elise NA does miss his Sonic Wave. And it means Yorick is nice and safe for the moment. So Yorick is getting Elise NA fairly low thanks to all those ghouls. Elise NA is able to catch up. Yorick does burn flash. And Yorick is just staying barely alive at this point. Yorick does pop his ultimate and gets Elise NA, but Nidalee is not in shape to fight. Nidalee will likely go down here thanks to the good kiting of Yorick. And double kill by Yorick. And this is the power of grabbing armor. Elise NA doesn't do much damage. Nidalee doesn't do much damage if you have a bunch of armor. And this Yorick has really punished Nidalee. Ezreal misses with his ultimate, but I don't think it would have been enough. And this is going to be a big blue steal by the red team as they snowball this game very hard. And this Yorick is doing real work up top, keeping Nidalee in check. Looks like a fight's going to break out as Maokai jumps in onto Xin Zhao and Ezreal. The ultimate does go down, but here comes Annie. Will Annie throw out Tibbers? Tibbers is just spawned, but she will not decide to use it. And she is just a little low on mana. Maokai jumps in onto Elise. Will Annie still throw down Tibbers? She has it available, but she decides not to as they do have Elise pinned down, making it a 2 for none. Elise does come up here and try and get something happening, but nothing going. As Xin Zhao and Elise are just not tanky enough at this point. Xin Zhao going for a War Monks most likely. Nidalee coming down to fight this Caitlyn. Elise will jump in onto Maokai and take Maokai down, but Tibbers drops on Ezreal and Ezreal gets taken out. Looks like Caitlyn will get this kill onto Nidalee and the cleanse saves Caitlyn. Elise not in good shape to jump away as he does not have a ward to jump to at this point. And he will try and get his kill on Nunu. He does pick up the kill on Nunu. But all the minions from Yorick and Annie are just too strong. Kill score is 13-24 at the 23-minute mark with an 8,000 gold lead for the red team. Thanks to a 2-tower lead and some big kills, in addition to just farming better throughout all the lanes. They're not farming significantly better, but it's one of those that every little bit counts. Yorick also is just a real terror, having picked up his Mana Miura, and he has his Frozen Heart should he want to go back and buy it at this point. And he's completed an Anathane's Unholy Grail. There's the Frozen Heart on Yorick. Caitlyn has finished off her Infinity Edge, likely going for a Phantom Dancer next. Nidalee picking up the Wriggles Lantern, Phage, and Chalice. Elise with the Ravenous Hydra, going for a Phage and the Hex Drinker. We do have Xin Zhao going for the picking up the Wriggles Lantern and going for a Warmongs next. Ezreal has picked up the Iceborne Gauntlets in addition to the Bloodthirster. We do have Elise with a Ruby Sightstone and the double gold per 10 items. Maokai going for the Spirit of the Ancient Golem. And this means another dragon will go to the red team. I don't see anybody to test it. Yeah, this is just objective control. Yorick's taking a good bit of damage here, but he is okay. Caitlyn does land onto Ezreal, and he will be forced back. Yorick is still sitting at half health, and at this point, he has picked up a Catalyst. I'm not sure what he's going to use it for. I don't think a Banshee's Veil is the best item here, but I really don't think it matters. He might be picking up an Ohm Wrecker, I guess. The first Ohm Wrecker ever picked up in League of Legends, because that item is pretty terrible. I mean, it's not bad, but there's so many better items, is what I really should say. And this is what Caitlyn does best. Caitlyn's just going to lay traps and siege. You try and come in, Maokai's going to jump you, Yorick's going to jump you, and Nunu's going to jump. Then Annie will just jump to your back line and lay her little friend, or catch you out with a stun. And she does land Tibbers onto Nidalee and Xin Zhao, both of them going down. Beautiful use of the ultimate there, as it looks like Elise and Ezreal go down, in addition to Elise making that a full team wipe for none. And that should be a good game, assuming they want to pursue it all the way to the end. And that's just a beautiful combination of abilities. This is a case of Snowball City, as those 2 early kills on Yorick and Annie really helped them win their lanes hard. And they just got little advantages like that. Yorick picked up a blue buff at level 1 thanks to that kill, and he really owned it. He completely owned it. And that is good game at the 26-minute mark, with the final score 13-29 and a 13,000 gold lead for the red team. Real good job snowballing those 2 early kills. I'm not going to say how important those 2 early kills were, but it was really insane how valuable they were. And that's just what it came down to. Those 2 kills made all the difference in the entire game. Because it got Andy a bit of extra experience, got Yorick a bit of extra experience, and the blue buff, which was the most important part. And it meant Elise NA and Xin Zhao were just never up to snuff. They were always just behind a little bit.
Thank you for watching Games Cast by PanderNyrl. If you wish to see more, follow my YouTube and Twitch pages below.